Hi, I'm Ella, and I'm 32 years old. I want to share something that happened recently, something that helped me get through a tough time with my husband, Liam, and his family. This all started a few months ago, and although things have calmed down, I'm still processing my emotions. I hope that by telling my story, I'll feel some relief and healing. Let me take you back about 4 years, when I made a life-changing decision to marry my boyfriend, Liam. We had been together for 4 wonderful years before getting married. Liam was everything I ever wanted in a partner: fun, caring, and incredibly loving. He also came from a well-off family and had a great job, which allowed him to spoil me with gifts and show his affection in generous ways. We shared a love for traveling, and exploring new places together only strengthened our bond. When I told my friends about our relationship, they were thrilled for me. They often commented on how lucky I was to have found someone like Liam. His generosity was something I admired, though it could sometimes be overwhelming. For instance, when I graduated from college, he bought me a brand new laptop. While I truly appreciated his gesture, I sometimes felt uncomfortable because I couldn't match his spending. I'd tell him, "Liam, I'm just a college student. I can't afford to spend like you. Maybe we could share some costs instead?" But he always insisted on treating me, saying it was something his friends did for their partners too. Over time, I became more comfortable with his generosity, but I still tried to contribute as much as I could. Eventually, when I started working and earning my own money, we began splitting expenses more fairly. We even started discussing the idea of living together, which felt like a huge step forward in our relationship. One day, Liam suggested, "Why don't you move in with me? I inherited my house from my grandpa, so you won't have to worry about rent. We can just share other expenses to keep things fair." I thought that was a thoughtful offer, and it made sense to me. It was a balanced approach that showed how much he cared about making our lives together work. These early moments in our relationship were important to me. While we've faced challenges since then, which I'll share another time, these early memories with Liam remind me of the love and care that brought us together. Life isn't always easy, but reflecting on the good moments helps me appreciate the strength of our bond. Sharing this story is my way of finding peace and healing from everything we've been through. I wasn't sure about moving in with Liam, but he reassured me that everything would work out. We agreed to share financial responsibilities in a way that was fair, considering our different incomes. At first, things were going smoothly. However, everything changed when I met Liam's family. Liam's parents and sister lived far away, so when they came to visit, I had to host them on my own because Liam was busy with work. Before their visit, Liam warned me that they could be a bit judgmental, but he didn't give me much detail. He told me to ignore any hurtful comments and stay calm. I tried to stay positive, hoping everything would go well. But when they arrived, my optimism quickly faded. From the moment they stepped into our home, Liam's parents and sister didn't seem happy to see me. Instead of a friendly greeting, they looked annoyed. The atmosphere felt tense, and it became clear during our conversations that they didn't like me. Liam's mom, Vivian, wasted no time showing her disapproval. "So you're the woman Liam has been seeing?" she said in a tone that felt more like an accusation than a question. The situation got worse when Vivian questioned me about living in the house. "Do you even pay rent?" she asked sharply. I explained politely, "No, I don't pay rent." Liam told me the house is fully paid for, but we split all the other bills evenly. I hoped this would clear things up, but Vivian didn't seem satisfied. "Just because the house is paid for doesn't mean you can mooch off him," she snapped. "This is his house, not yours. Remember that for the rest of your life." Her words stung, and the conversation became even more uncomfortable. Liam's sister, Sophia, was no better. She barely spoke to me and mostly just gave me cold glares. When I tried to ask her about her life, she mentioned being married to a wealthy billionaire and then brushed me off as if I wasn't worth her time. Throughout their visit, Liam didn't defend me. In fact, he often seemed to agree with his family. Vivian and Liam's dad kept criticizing me, making the entire visit incredibly stressful. They disapproved of my spending on things like makeup and skincare, saying it was wrong because they believed I wasn't contributing enough financially. Their words hurt, especially since I did my best to split the bills fairly and take care of our home. Even Liam's comments didn't help. He would casually mention things like, "Ella was a struggling student when we first met," in a way that made me feel small and judged. Instead of supporting me, Liam's words made me feel even more isolated. Looking back, hosting his family alone was one of the hardest things I've had to do. Their visit left me feeling unwelcome and undervalued, and it changed how I saw my relationship with Liam and his family. I depended on Liam a lot in the beginning, or at least that's what his family believed. Liam made comments that supported their assumptions, saying things like how he had to pay for everything early in our relationship because my job didn't match my supposed taste for luxury. Hearing this shocked me. I reminded him that we now split all our bills equally. I also explained that I had always lived a simple life, both before and during our relationship. Any luxury items I owned were gifts from him, and I had often asked him not to buy those because they were too much. Liam tried to justify his spending, saying his social status required him to give fancy gifts. It became clear that many of his generous gestures were more about impressing others than caring for me. This realization hurt, but I kept my feelings to myself at the time. After Liam's family left, I decided to talk to him about how they had treated me. I expressed how hurt I felt by their constant criticisms and lack of respect. Sadly, Liam dismissed my feelings. "Don't take it too personally, Ella," he said. "They meant well. You're just overreacting." His reaction left me feeling unsupported, but I chose not to press the issue any further. Despite my growing concerns about how his family saw me, 6 months later, Liam proposed, and I happily said yes. We began planning our engagement party, and this time, we agreed to split the costs evenly. At that time, I was running a small side business. It wasn't bringing in much money, but it was something I genuinely enjoyed. Liam knew about it but never really showed much interest. To me, it felt more like a fulfilling hobby than a significant income source. As we planned our engagement party, I decided to treat myself a little. Liam was supportive of this idea, and we worked together to organize a beautiful celebration. I even paid for the plane tickets for my extended family to attend, which felt like a personal achievement. The party turned out wonderfully, but, as usual, Liam's family couldn't resist criticizing me. During the event, Vivian said, "You shouldn't have spent so much on this party, Ella. You're draining Liam's account even before you're married. At this rate, you'll end up with a backyard wedding." Her words were painful. She continued, "I thought you were just financially irresponsible, but it's worse than I imagined." This time I stood up for myself. I calmly replied, "Yes, the party was extravagant, but Liam and I both agreed on it, and we split the costs." Despite my explanation, Vivian refused to acknowledge my perspective. That moment made me realize just how little respect they had for me, and how hard it would be to earn their acceptance. It also made me question how much Liam truly had my back in challenging situations. I paid my share for the engagement party, and it was Liam's idea to include everyone. He insisted on inviting the entire family and assured me he didn't mind the expense. But the criticism kept coming. Vivian accused me of manipulating Liam into spending too much money. Sophia added that I should have been more mindful of the costs. Feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, I excused myself to step outside, hoping for some peace. But even there, I couldn't escape. I overheard Sophia and her husband, Julian, laughing at me. It was heartbreaking to realize that what should have been a joyful celebration was quickly turning into a painful experience. Liam seemed oblivious to how harsh his family was being, or maybe just didn't want to address it. Most of his extended family believed I was jobless and completely dependent on him, which wasn't true, but it stung to know they saw me that way. My mom, Diana, noticed how upset I was and gently pulled me aside. She suggested that I reconsider the engagement, given how unkind Liam's family had been to me. After the party, I confronted Liam about everything, explaining how hurt I was by his family's constant judgment. But he brushed it off, saying they were only joking and that I shouldn't take it seriously. He told me he loved me, and assured me that financial matters didn't bother him. Still, I told Liam I wanted to contribute more, especially toward the rent, to show his family that I wasn't taking advantage of him. But he dismissed the idea, saying it wasn't necessary. As we began planning the wedding, the stress only grew. Liam's parents continued to criticize me, accusing me of trying to bankrupt their son. Their constant scrutiny made the entire engagement period feel incredibly stressful. I tried to explain that everyone, including my mom, Diana, was helping with the wedding expenses. Despite this, Vivian accused me of taking advantage of Liam and called me a gold digger. I told her, "I'm not asking for any financial help. We're financing the wedding ourselves." But no matter how much I reassured them, they didn't believe me. Even on the wedding day, Sophia criticized the cost of my dress and makeup, even though my mom, Diana, had paid for those expenses. The wedding ceremony itself went smoothly, and for a moment I felt relieved. But at the reception, Vivian and Richard started up again. They accused me of being careless with money and financially exploiting Liam. Their words hurt deeply, especially because they were so untrue. Despite their harsh criticism, I tried to focus on the happiness of marrying Liam, but their constant negativity lingered, making it difficult to fully enjoy the day. I realized that even though I loved Liam, being part of his family was going to be a challenge. I stayed quiet on our wedding day to keep it special despite everything that had happened. A few months later, Liam got a big promotion at work and wanted to celebrate with a family dinner. I was so proud of him and decided to cover all the expenses myself. "Liam, I want this dinner to be amazing," I told him. "I'm so proud of you and want to celebrate your success." Liam appreciated the gesture. I told him that my business was doing well. I had a stable income from my job, and I had recently accessed a trust fund left to me by my grandfather, Thomas. I carefully planned every detail of the event, wanting it to be perfect for him. When the dinner day arrived, I was nervous, but excited. Most of the guests were thrilled with the arrangements and complimented how wonderful everything looked. But Liam's family was different. They seemed unhappy no matter what I did. Their disapproving looks and whispered comments made it clear they didn't approve of the celebration's lavishness. Things took a turn for the worse during the speeches. Vivian, Liam's mom, stood up and addressed the room. At first, her tone seemed warm as she thanked everyone for coming to celebrate her son's achievement, but then her words turned harsh. "Liam is hardworking and generous, and he truly deserves this promotion," she began. "Unfortunately, he made a poor choice in his partner. It's sad that he ended up with someone who acts like a gold digger. If he had seen her true nature earlier, he wouldn't have to work so hard to support her expensive lifestyle." I was stunned. My heart sank as Vivian continued speaking. Her voice was filled with regret as she said, "It's clear to everyone here that his wife has been very extravagant. From the engagement party to tonight's dinner, she has almost drained his accounts." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my composure. I wanted to defend myself, but knew it would only escalate the situation. Vivian didn't stop there. "Thank goodness we had Ella sign a prenuptial agreement before the wedding," she added with a smug tone. "At least some of his assets are protected." Her words were like a punch to the gut. She even made a sarcastic comment about how I could at least look like a trophy wife. What hurt the most was that Liam didn't say anything to defend me. Instead, he agreed with his mother, making me feel completely unsupported. I felt humiliated in front of everyone at the dinner. All I had wanted was to celebrate Liam's success and show how proud I was of him. Instead, the evening turned into another moment where his family attacked me and Liam didn't stand by my side. I realized then that no matter how hard I tried, I would never be good enough for his family, and Liam's silence made me question if I was even good enough for him. I had reached my limit. Liam stood in front of me, accusing me of draining his finances. "I can't even afford to spend money on myself anymore because of you," he said. His words cut deep. But what hurt the most was when he called marrying me a mistake. He even compared me to others in a way that made me feel small and unworthy. I was shocked and frustrated, and for the first time, I couldn't stay silent. "Do you really think I'm a gold digger?" I asked, my voice trembling. Liam's response was harsh and dismissive. "Your lifestyle is damaging to my bank account." His words stung, but they also made me determined to prove myself. "If you all think I'm a gold digger," I said firmly, "then let me show you the truth." In front of everyone, I revealed my bank account balance, proving my financial independence. The room went silent as disbelief spread across their faces. Vivian, unable to accept the truth, accused me. "Did you steal my son's money?" Liam added fuel to the fire, saying, "You must have taken it from me." I stayed calm despite the hurt. "I don't need to steal from your son," I replied. "This money is my own. I've worked hard for it, and I recently accessed a trust fund from my grandfather, Thomas." I went on to explain that I had been planning to use that money to buy a bigger house for us, but now, I said, that plan seems impossible. Liam tried to turn things around, suggesting we could still buy the house. "It'll be a wonderful gift," he said, trying to smooth things over. But I had had enough. "No, this is not happening," I said firmly. "Your family has insulted me for far too long, and you've never stood up for me. Instead, you've let them spread lies about me and humiliate me." Liam tried to dismiss my concerns, saying I was overreacting, but I wasn't backing down. "No, Liam," I said, my voice steady. "I am not overreacting. Everyone here knows what your family has been saying about me. They were here when you let them insult me during our engagement party." At that moment, I reached my breaking point. The constant disrespect, the lack of support from Liam, and the relentless criticism from his family. It was all too much. I couldn't take it anymore. "I want a divorce," I said, my voice firm and unwavering. Liam tried to plead with me, but before I could respond, my mom, Diana, stepped in. "You never defended my daughter," she said firmly. "It's time she ends this toxic relationship." With that, I walked out of the party, leaving behind a room full of shocked guests. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was standing up for myself. I was done tolerating the disrespect. I was firm in my decision to leave Liam and move on with my life. My mom, Diana, stood by me without hesitation as we left, marking the end of a painful chapter. Her support was exactly what I needed during such a tough time. After the confrontation, I went back to the house I shared with Liam, packed my things, and moved in with my mom, Diana, for comfort and safety. The following day, I reached out to my cousin Alex, a lawyer, to begin the divorce process. Thanks to the prenuptial agreement, things were straightforward. I didn't have to share any of my assets with Liam, which was a relief. However, things escalated quickly when Liam and his family showed up at my mom's house, demanding to speak with me. My mom stood firm and told them to leave. Liam kept trying to reach out to me, alternating between apologies and threats. I saved all his messages, just in case I needed to file a restraining order. My mom's unwavering support gave me the strength to stand my ground. At one point, Liam even tried to confront me at my workplace. Thankfully, security intervened and escorted him out. That incident made me realize it was time to leave my job, especially since my growing business was doing well. I handed in my resignation that very day, ready to focus on my future. 2 weeks later, I served Liam the divorce papers at his workplace. He soon went to my old office, only to learn that I had resigned. In response, he began sending flowers and gifts to my mom's house, but we returned them all. His ongoing attempts to contact me felt like harassment, and I started considering relocating for a fresh start. With my mom's encouragement, I found a new home in a neighboring state, a peaceful, safe space where I could rebuild my life away from Liam. While waiting for the divorce to be finalized, I focused on healing and preparing for the next chapter of my life. The divorce process took about 6 months, but it went smoothly thanks to the prenuptial agreement. During that time, I settled into my new home and changed my phone number to avoid Liam's messages. I threw myself into my business, surrounded myself with positive people, and slowly started to feel like myself again. Although the journey was difficult, moving forward felt like a breath of fresh air. I was finally free from the toxic environment I had endured, and proud of myself for taking control of my life. My mom's constant support reminded me that I deserved peace and happiness. This was the beginning of a new, brighter chapter, and I was ready to embrace it fully. I heard that Liam's life began to unravel after our breakup. He blamed his parents for everything that went wrong between us and started facing issues at work. His colleagues began distancing themselves, and his superiors were unhappy because the situation had brought negative attention to the company. To make matters worse, Liam's parents tried to spread rumors about me, claiming I had been unfaithful. However, these rumors went nowhere because they weren't true and no one believed them. In contrast, my life began to improve in so many ways. I poured all my energy into growing my business, and it flourished. I finally had the freedom to pursue what I wanted without the constant stress and criticism I had experienced before. Over time, I began dating again, but I took things slow. I was cautious about who I allowed into my life, but I remained hopeful that I would find someone who truly valued and respected me for who I am. Though Liam caused me a great deal of pain, I came to realize that the challenges I faced made me a much stronger person. I learned how to stand up for myself and gained a clearer understanding of what I wanted in a relationship and in life. Looking ahead, I felt excited and optimistic about the future. I was confident in my ability to overcome any obstacles and knew that I deserved a partner who treated me with kindness and respect. I had grown so much from the experience, and I was ready to embrace the brighter days ahead.